Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is another Tuesday, which means it is time for WDD Live. I need to get the right windows up. I got to get, as you can tell, we're a little bit under the weather, but we're going to fight through it. May not be as long as it normally is, but I also said, I'm going to be in Italy next week. Like we gotta do it today. We can't not do it today. Okay. So, because I, as much as I would like to do one in Italy, it's going to be the morning after a significant amount of plane travel and time change, 6-hour time change. I don't know if that's, I can't make any promises in that regard. So yeah, this is probably not going to happen next week, but we'll be back in action the week after that. Let's see who we got in the house today. We got D123. Mark Zamansky is here. Steven, Nico, Nomadic, Patrick, Ruben, of course. Welcome, welcome. Charlie Sasser. Andrea's in the house. Two Rubens. Gavin and Vigilante. Evan, Simon. We got some new faces. This is fantastic. I like it. Got a little tattoo shop website today that we're going to critique. I was thinking about doing a... I might pull it up. We won't do too much of a critique on it or too much of a topical analysis of it. But there's an interesting video that was just recently posted by Adam, Tailwind's founder, where he's building a homepage, landing page kind of thing with Tailwind. I think, there's some interesting insights to glean from that. One major insight, but we might pull that up and go through it a little bit. And then we'll just do Q&A. We got a lot of Q&A stuff to do. We didn't do a ton of Q&A last week, so we'll do more time for Q&A today. If you don't know what we're doing here with WDD Live, our main thing that we do is in-depth web design critiques. Not just looking at the UX UI, but looking at everything that makes a website successful, copywriting. We look at SEO. We look at potential for advertising, conversion rate optimization. We just look at the whole thing, the DOM sometimes, accessibility, semantics, literally everything that goes into the work that we do, which makes it very, very educational for you. And it is, by the way, a participatory live stream. You guys can use the chat, chime in with your opinions and ideas and thoughts on the website that we happen to be critiquing. Usually we only do 2 website critiques. They're like, 30 to 45 minutes each, because we try to go deeper than most people do. But today we will just have one because I cannot afford to lose my voice, as often happens when I'm sick and I talk too much. So, and I just did a 1-hour podcast with Layer WP. So we're already an hour in. My vocal cords are already actually like an hour and a half in to the game. All right, today. We got to get right to it. What's up, Zamir? Kevin, Zamir says, hey, Kev, what's up? What's up, Zamir? I don't recognize Zamir. Zamir might be new to the stream. If you are new to WDD Live, drop that in the chat. Just say, hey, I'm new here, and say what's up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen, and we are going to get to it. Okay, let's hide the sidebar here. All right, we've got Stone River Tattoo Company. First thing we do is a no scroll test, which means I'm not allowed to scroll around. I've got to just see what I see and see if we can make sense of the place that we're at. So, the logo, it says Stone River Tattoo Company, so obvious that this is a tattoo shop. Got a nice clean navigation here about us, tattoo artists. All right, so there's 4 artists, a gallery, there's an aftercare page, an FAQs, and a contact us. And then we have a main call to action of get inked, which I like because, it's got a little bit of personality to it. It's not just like book an appointment. Well, they've got the book an appointment here. And the juxtaposition between these two is good, right? You can use your little cute one, your little cute CTA copy up here because you have the literal copy right here. I'm guessing that those two things go to the exact same place. Let's check. Yeah, tattoo booking. Okay, I click this one. Tattoo booking, same place. Okay, it's just different copy, which is good, if you're going to do this kind of thing, which is very common, this is an opportunity for you to use different copy on both buttons, even though they go to the same place. So do something like this. I think that's a good idea. tattoo studio in the heart of Edinburgh. So this is a very literal headline. If you're looking to get bold, bright, and solid tattoos, come visit us at Stone River Tattoo Company, a private appointment-only tattoo studio located at, so you've got key details in the lead paragraph here. I want to hone in on bold, bright, and solid. So very common in copy, obviously, you have to try to talk about the things that you feel are most relevant to the visitor and that are going to capture their attention and their interest and their intrigue and make them really want to buy, right? They went with bold, bright, and solid. Like if I'm going to get a tattoo, the question that this brings up is, if you survey says, right? If you surveyed 100 people who wanted tattoos and you said, what do you want from your tattoo artist? Or what do you want from the tattoo that you are going to get? They're all going to give you all these feelings and words and all of that, right? This giant tag cloud of stuff. So my question is, would the words bold, bright, and solid be the largest words in the tag cloud? Okay. If I had to guess, probably not. Now, I haven't done this research. I haven't done anything. I don't know anything about tattoos. You see me? Even though I've been in the jiu-jitsu world for almost 20 years, where it seems mandatory to have tattoos. I have escaped with none. So I don't know much about tattoos, but what I could guess is that bold, bright, and solid maybe are not going to be the biggest words in the tag cloud. So this is an opportunity, obviously, to put the 3 words that are the biggest words in the tag cloud. What we need to do is find out what those are. Now, if you're in the chat and if you're heavy in the tattoo game, okay, then let me know. Bold, bright, solid. Does that resonate with you? Would you say that this is good copy? I can't even really judge it all that much because I'm not in that world, right? So I'll defer to chat here. We'll defer to chat. But overall, the structure of the copy is on point, okay? We can make a little adjustment. Are these the 3 things that are really going to capture the most amount of people? Really, really get them off the fence. If it's a no, then we need to change it. If it's a yes, then we can keep it. Simple as that. Okay, I like the I like the video that's playing in the background. I'm not a huge fan of background videos, but this is not distracting. And it's let me turn off the lights for a second because I got to look at the contrast here. So, it's a low contrast video, so it's not colliding with the text, okay? It's not making a poor experience, and it's showing a little bit of the action going on behind the scenes, and I see some people and they're smiling. Guy at work, looks like he's focused. So it's good. It's a good little accent for this section, this hero. Okay, let's move down. We've got meet the team. Let's see if anybody's chimed in. Bold, bright, clean, maybe. Bold and bright seems like it would speak to a specific tattoo style. I'm wondering if bold, bright, and solid might be the only style of tattoos that they do. Oh, see, I don't even know. Are those technical industry styles named? I mean, if that's the case, then that makes perfect sense. Again, I don't know. That's why I'm deferring to chat. Okay. Meet the team tattoo artists. Meet the team of our talented tattoo artists, each with their own unique style and expertise. They're passionate about creating art that you'll love. Okay. It's very common in the about copy that everybody just goes to me copy, right? But they kind of did that with our, but they immediately went to So when you talk about the unique style and expertise and their passion that you'll love, okay? So they are speaking to the visitor, okay? This is you focused copy in this regard because they're showing you why that's important to you, okay? So that's good there. And then, I like this. I can immediately tell now that this is a Frames automatic CSS website. I built this section right here. So I can recognize it. And this one as well. But they've done a really good job of, embellishing this up. I really actually am liking the tattoo examples, the artwork in the backgrounds. And again, it's done very subtly, and it's here too. I don't know if you guys can see the contrast on the stream, but they've got artwork kind of like as subtle background texture in all of these sections, which actually works really, really, really well. Okay, Jake, traditional Japanese, old school, enjoys doing large projects. We got Manny, sketch, graphic, watercolor, color, realistic tattoos. Nice, specialize in bright, bold. Okay, this bright, bold, okay. So that must be a very industry thing. Graphic, illustrative, realism, fine line, specializes in delicate nature-inspired designs. Okay, all right. We'll go to their pages in just a second because those link out. All right, so we'll see what's going on there. There's another classic, frames layout because it gives you the opportunity to put a lot of visuals, right, together in a nice little off base, off balance kind of collage kind of thing. So that's cool. Tattoos that age like wine. At Stone River Tattoo, we specialize. So I don't, you don't need to repeat the company name over and over and over again. And you don't even need to say like we. So there's a little bit of like too much me copy in here. So at Stone River Tattoo, we, right? They don't care about that. They don't care about that. Now, what you do have to do is deliver on the headline. So tattoos that age like wine. What about them makes them age like wine? Just go right into that. You don't have to reframe it as like, by the way, did I remind you that we're Stone River Tattoo Company? Like, just go right into it. Like, I'm already in. I'm I'm staying here. So I'm interested in what you have to say. So just start saying it, right? It would be like if you were talking to a salesman. Like you walk into you go to buy a car, BMW, and guy's like, "Hey, I'm Brad. Nice to meet you. What kind of car are you looking for?" And you're like, "Well, I'm looking at the SUV." And he's like, "Well, I'm Brad. Let me show you this SUV over here." And you're like, "Cool, let's go over there and look at it." And what kind of what are you looking for? Power? Are you looking for roominess? What are you looking for? Oh, well, I'm looking for something for the entire family. Okay, well, I'm Brad. Let me show you in the back of the. See, it's very awkward, isn't it? Like, just tell me the things that were like, have the discussion with me. You don't want to keep repeating over and over and over again. So, expert application, ensuring your tattoos age like fine wine, maturing gracefully with you. The one thing is, I'm not, it almost, if you're going to call this out, it almost feels like there's some sort of proprietary nature to what you do. I don't know do all tattoos, what tattoos don't age like fine wine? Let's start there. Like, you've got to teach us. You've got to tell us this juxtaposition. Is there an epidemic of tattoos that don't age like wine? Why do yours? What do you do differently from those? And then I'm educated now. You gave me the headline, so you kind of alluded to this, that this is the case, that not all tattoos are the same, but you didn't actually tell me how you're different. Okay, so this is the paragraph where you need to actually deliver on the promise of the headline. Diverse tattoo styles. Whether you crave a bold traditional tattoo or a hyper-realistic masterpiece, Stone River Tattoo Company has you covered. See there again. Hey, I'm Brad. Hey, did I mention that? I'm Brad. And I would like to tell you about this BMW. Okay, so just start removing these. You don't need all these references. Just talk to the person. Quality and comfort. We prioritize your comfort alongside quality. Getting a tattoo can be nerve-wracking. That's why we created a relaxed, welcoming environment to ensure you feel at ease. Let's try to change one of these. So we can just give an example of how we would rewrite this, right? Okay. So right here, just start out with the pain point, right? Getting a tattoo can be nerve-wracking. Like if this is my first tattoo, I'd be like, damn, you're right. That's exactly how I feel. So just start out, that's all you need to say right there. Just start out with that. And then you can go into, so you say that's why we created a relaxed, welcoming environment, but you're not describing the environment. You're not giving me any detail to latch onto. This is the difference between, like, why is a good author of a fictional story, why are they good versus some other author, right? If another author is just like, they just kind of paint this abstract scene where you're like, I can't really imagine what's going on there. But this other author just gives you those little details where you're like, damn, I feel like I'm in the fucking scenario that they're talking about. That's the difference. This is what you have to do here a little bit. It's very easy to write like, yeah, we created a relaxed, welcoming. I mean, what about it is relaxed and welcoming? What about it is different from other environments that you might find yourself in a tattoo? Like Let's get a little bit of detail here. And this is why copywriting is hard. You have to get to that level of detail somehow without writing a novel. All right. So it's got to be this long, but it still needs some detail. You see what I'm saying? That's why copywriting is hard. But that's what we have to get to. But then you could just take out junk that doesn't need to be there. Like getting a tattoo can be nerve-wracking. Just start there. And then go into some detail here on why your version of this is relaxed and welcoming. Okay, then we got a big CTA strip going right through the middle. Ever dreamt of a tattoo that tells your story? Our experienced artist will work closely with you to bring your vision to life, ensuring a tattoo you'll love for years to come. Book your free consultation today. Start your tattoo journey. Schedule now. All right. This is where I would probably, you could do a little conversion rate optimization, a little A/B testing on the get inked versus book an appointment stuff, where schedule now is very cold. It's very, I think the get inked would actually work better here. Like you've done a job of like connecting with them and getting them excited, and then okay, now like get in. Come on, get in. Like you're part of us now, right? We don't have to talk about all this like corporate, schedule now. I think now down the page you can start using the get inked more. What our clients say, but again, you'd have to split test that. We can't just like make up like that's going to do better than what's already there. But these are things that you can try to split test. Okay, so we've got some, testimonials. Cool. All right. Little footer. Nice, clean. All right. Nothing crazy going on. Let's go in and let's go to About Us first. Let's just go in order. Okay. Private appointment only studio located in 19 Easter Road, Edinburgh, Scotland. The studio is run by us, life and business partners, Jake. That is a name that is just gonna trip me up. Really making me work here. I'm not even gonna give it a shot. I'm tapping. I'm bowing out of that one. We live in the local area with our 2 daughters and our dog Soba. Okay, I can actually zoom in here, make this a little bit easier for everybody. What I look for in a section like this is like why, like the why behind. Why are you here? What is your mission? What is your passion? What are you doing here, sir? What are you doing here? I've always worked at high standards professionals, aim to create a well-rounded high-end tattoo studio. At the same time as warm and welcoming. See, this is here's what I know about like artists and designers and things like that, right? You have 2 things that you can communicate here. Like here's what people don't care about. It's a little bit nice to know that you have daughters and a dog. Okay. It might be nice to know your favorite color at some point, right? But really people don't care all that much about that. What they care about is your mission. What they care about is your vision. And what they care about is your origin story. So you have pick one of those. Or blend them all together if you're good at writing copy. Like you could really blend all of those things together. But like, where did you come from? When did you get into art? When did you start drawing? When did you give me some of the origin story. Give me some of your like why you started. It's not like, oh, well, it's always been a passion of mine. Okay. Well, but why? What is it about this that you really care about, that I should care about? And then I'll care. So I think this can use a little bit of work right here. Then everybody's got their bios. Okay, that's all good. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, here we go. We encourage a slower, quality-oriented approach to tattooing where the artist will be able to concentrate on their unique artistic expression. At the same time, they'll be able to choose and manage their workload to suit their lifestyles and commitments. Okay. So, as a general philosophy, I actually think that has a lot of value, and I buy into that. What's missing here is the juxtaposition. And one of the big criticisms people will have in marketing is just talk about yourself. Just talk about the things you do. Just talk about the great features of your thing. Don't talk about other things. But without the juxtaposition, there's not a lot of impact. Because I don't live in the tattoo world. So it should not be assumed that I know what goes on in other tattoo places. I'm naive about the only way you can educate me is to say, Here's what happens in all these other places. Here's what happens in our place. Then I can go, oh, that makes total sense why that's a difference and why that would matter. Without the juxtaposition, I have no idea. So when you say you encourage a slower, quality-oriented approach, I mean, that sounds good, but my brain goes, but I mean, surely that happens everywhere, right? Doesn't that happen in every other tattoo shop? If it doesn't, then you have to tell me. Like, you have to juxtapose, right? Otherwise, I'm not going to know. And my brain's not going the place you want it to go. This is why you have to do comparisons. Like in marketing, like comparisons is like it has to be done. It's the only way to educate people. So I would add some of that, right? Like, and again, this goes back to a lot of people's mission in business is because they didn't like the way things were being done over here. Or they think that people getting tattoos deserve a better experience or deserve better quality or deserve better something. And then when you communicate that and just say like, hey, bro, I feel like you deserve better. That's why I'm here. I feel like immediately, I didn't even say anything of specific, right? But immediately you're like, I do deserve better. I want to hear what you have to say, right? It's like a human thing. It's a human thing. Okay. You do that in your copy. It's very easy. The juxtaposition thing, the comparison thing, it's not just easy, it's essential. It's essential to properly communicate with people. So the people that are like, don't compare, don't contrast, don't juxtapose, like they don't understand marketing. They don't understand communication. If you were just a lover of a product, you're not, and you want your best friend to use this product. You're like, dude, you got to hear about this thing. Immediately, you, in your attempts to communicate why your friend should use this product, are probably, it's not like other products. Let me show you why. You already did it. You just did it. You just did the comparison thing. You just did the contrast thing. Okay? It's not inherently, like, there's this idea that this is inherently bad or immoral or shouldn't be done. Like, this is just silliness. This is absolute silliness. Okay, there's my rant about comparing in marketing. All right, let's go into Jake here. Let's see. I just want to see what the layout of one of these pages is. Okay, good. So we've got a gallery that is presumably Jake's work. This is the reason why it's a good idea to use CPTs, custom post types, because then when you loop things like this, you can create relationships. You can say, hey, I only want to query Jake stuff. Now, can you do that manually? Yeah, but not as this thing scales, right? It's as this thing scales and there's more and more and more tattoo artists and more work to show, and maybe you want to do some faceting and filtering of these things on a main gallery page and whatever, you're gonna want the relationships. You're gonna want the proper data hierarchy in the back end and architecture and things like that. But again, I'm not in the tattoo world. I can't really judge these. I mean, to my eye, they look fantastic. This one's trippy as hell. Look at that. That is confusing. Okay. But yeah, I think this is, it's, first of all, it's clean photography. So that's good. It puts the emphasis on, the actual work. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's clean. It's nice. I like it. Okay. Got Manny in here. Okay. Clearly different style, different approach. Okay. All right. This is important because if somebody's going to choose their artist when they come in, it's not like, hey, give me whoever's on staff, right? Like, this is like, hey, whose style do you like? Pick this person. Come on in. Again, I mean, I assume this is done in almost every tattoo shop. Here's the main gallery right here. Okay. So this is where, main gallery page, I'd probably go with some faceting, right? Like, it is good that I can go to Jake's page and I can look at Jake's stuff, but if I'm in the main gallery, I still kind of want to be able to sort and filter here. That would be a good thing to add. So maybe do a little bit of consideration of that. Here's your main footer CTA. Notice this is probably part of the, no, it's not. Okay, it's not. I was wondering if that's part of the footer template or if they just manually put this on every page. Yep, no, it's not on every page. Okay. See, I'm a big fan of, I really think that it's good to have a global CTA attached to your footer. Like if we look at this footer, it's just kind of the footer, right? And above that is testimonials here. On the About Us page, above that is just an About Us kind of CTA section. But as this site gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you don't want to decide on a manual CTA. Like, you've manually put that there now when that could have just automatically been there. I did a video on like a global footer CTA that you can toggle on and off depending on what pages need it and what pages don't need it. I would look at doing something like that rather than manually managing the CTAs that go. Plus, not to mention, like, this is the same copy as another one, but it's a different design. And like, if you ever change your offer or you want to do a special offer of some sort, you got a lot of little manual CTA blocks floating around that you don't really have any global control over. That can become a problem on bigger sites. So I would look into making that part of your template. Here's the FAQs. Let's see what we got. Nice little sticky section there. Okay. This is literally like a frames. The frames were used on literally every section of this website. So it turned out great, right? It's clean. It's easy. It works. There's some adjustments that can be made, obviously, to the copy. There's not a lot else to look at here because, it's built with frames. So we know things are going to be clean on the DOM side of things. Any questions from chat? Anything you want to look at in particular? Anything that we, haven't discussed? Where are the Stone River Tattoo? Okay. Top Tattoo Studio in Edinburgh. It looks like, title tag has been taken care of. Yeah. It's a good website. It's a good website. It's what a company, it's what like a tattoo shop needs. There's not a lot else to say here. Let's see. By the way, if you're putting questions in the chat, you got to use #Q or #question. I saw a couple right off the bat when I looked at chat that did not use hashtags, and those will get lost. If you could pull in Google review photos of the tattoos, that'd be a nice touch. How do I elevate this? Let's see. Okay, there we go. If you can pull in Google review photos of the tattoos, that'd be a nice touch. Okay, I get you. Okay. Yeah, I get you. That footer background looks sharp. Yeah, it does. I like it. It's a little bit pixelated, maybe. Yeah, might be. Or maybe it's just the fact that it's like skin. I don't even know if that's skin or if it's just maybe that's what the tattoo was on the drawing. I don't know. But yeah, it's they did a really good job with like the background texture, Let's see. One thing I'm not seeing, for most people, tattoos are a part of their ID. I'd expect to read things like, let's talk about the right tattoo. We'll create your unique tattoo together. I think you're right. I think you have a really good point there. I think you have a really, really good point. Like there's an aftercare page. There needs to be a pre-tattoo page, right? Some of this is in the FAQs, like, does it hurt? Is it safe? How to prepare? Here's how do I choose the right tattoo design? But you're right. This is, in the FAQs, probably not the best place for this. I also think, okay, let's go to the gallery. If you really want to take this to the next level, which could also, if you worked it right, aid a lot in SEO. But each of these tattoos could be like, for people who want to go to this level, you could do like a mini little interview with them of like, how did they arrive at this concept? Like, what does it mean to them? And just tell their story, really. You could do like little case studies out of some of these. Have a whole section of stories, right? That'd be kind of a nice touch, going a little bit above and beyond. Get them on video, maybe. Good way to get some video testimonials going. Because text testimonials are great, but they only do so much in this day and age. And if you have a YouTube channel, you don't have a YouTube, but you have an Instagram. You have those videos can go on Instagram. Now you're telling the story on social media. This just gives you a lot of additional content, a lot of additional marketing ammunition. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can be done here, but it's what I already said. It's from a website perspective for a tattoo company. It's great. It's exactly what a tattoo company would want and need. Okay. Yeah, the mini case studies is a great idea. You can show the prep, the outlines, all the stuff before ink hits the skin. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, think about like, let's do a callback. Callback to, when was this show popular? 2004, I'm terrible with dates. 1998, 2004. I'll just throw out some random dates there. What was the show called with it was the biker show where they customized the motorcycles, and there's 1,000 fucking memes about it. The old dad and the son. What was it called? Dude, I'm not only am I terrible at dates, I'm terrible at recalling names of things. Somebody help me out in the chat. You know this. What was the show? Or just sympathize with me and be like, I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember what it's called. Did it have 3 names? It might have had 3 names. What is it? OC Choppers. Okay. Was that the name of the show? That's the name of their studio, right? That was the name of their shop. But was that the name of the show? Orange County Choppers. Okay. I guess the name of the show and the shop were the same. So they get insanely popular? Why did they get insanely popular? They got insanely popular because their story was told. And the story of every project that they worked on was told. I'm sure there's a lot of shops like that doing what they do, right? But their story got told. And so they got insanely big. Marketing is, at the end of the day, it's just storytelling. And so your job is to start telling the story of the work that you do and the people that you do it with. And that's going to help tremendously. And then you put ad revenue behind that, and you put social media power, organic social media power behind that. And suddenly you're off to the races. Okay. All right. Yeah. American Chopper was the name. Thank you. My brain was like, I don't think it was called the name of the shop. American Chopper was the name. Okay. So if you are in this kind of business and you aren't familiar with American Chopper, go watch some episodes. I'm sure they're on YouTube or something like that. And yeah, it was reality TV. It was like behind the scenes. I don't know how much of it was scripted or unscripted. And, they're always getting in fights and they're throwing shit around the shop. But at the end of the day, it was heartwarming. Like every project has this great story behind it. And they actually do, from what I can tell as a non-motorcycle person, good work. And that's why it works. That's why it works. People are interested in people's stories. They're interested in behind the scenes. They're interested in the process. They're interested in the messiness. They're interested in all those things. And so all you have to do is let that be part of the story that's told for your company, and it's going to work out really well for you. In most cases. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next segment. Let's go to the next segment of the show. I'm going to stop screen sharing for a second. I'm going to go pull up. Let me see if I can find this video. Let's go to I posted it in the inner circle. Let me go there. Let's go there. And I just posted it this morning. Okay. There's not a lot of action on it yet. Let's open up. Do I want to do full screen? Okay. I want to do full screen. Let's just have a little conversation about this. And I want to maybe turn the volume down. Let's go back to sharing screen. Okay. So this is a video by Adam, the creator of Tailwind. And this is actually not I'm not going to really talk about Tailwind all that much in this video. I wasn't really interested in the Tailwind side of this video. Let's play. And what he's going to do here, what you're looking at is Figma. I'll just kind of narrate this. I think it's going to work. He has this design in Figma that he's going to rebuild from scratch with, essentially VS Code and Tailwind. And let's make sure everybody's on the same page here. All right. Okay. Just looking at the chat real quick. All right. I'll fast forward a little bit through some of this. So he's essentially assessing the design. And then he's getting the project set up. And I'll just keep like skipping through a lot of this. There's a part here where he's determining like, should this be a header? Can a header even go in a main tag? And he decides to make it a div. This is not a critique of like, the quality of HTML or CSS or anything like that. It's more a critique of the process that's going through. Okay. So he gets the general HTML structure out here. Now, Tailwind hasn't been used yet at all. He's just writing HTML. And he's doing this. Well, we won't even go into all the details of like using Next.js or whatever he's using here for like, essentially what is a static landing page. I don't know what he was attempting to show here. But now he's starting to do the Tailwind stuff. Okay, so he's putting all the class names in. The first thing, you notice he's spending a lot of time in Figma. Like the thing that stood out to me the most, I wasn't aware that this was still a big part of people's process. I mean, I've been advocating against this for so long now. But he keeps measuring things in Figma. It's like measuring the distance between this and this, measuring this distance here, measuring the size of headings and things like this. So you can put in those classes PX2, PT2. That's the padding that is right between the edge of the screen and this div right here. And then, he's constantly in the video, if you listen to his internal dialogue and discussion. So what did he just do there? He just put this is not a Tailwind class. Because Tailwind didn't have the class that he was looking for to match the pixel value that he's trying to match. So he put in a raw value here. Like Tailwind accepts raw, what is effectively right now a magic number. This is not a number that's tied to anything else in the Tailwind system. It's not a value that's tied to any other element on this page. It's just like I just need a magic number to solve for the pixel matching that I'm currently doing in this design. And he actually does this a lot. And it was just, when you watch me look at a Figma, I don't measure anything. This is the idea that we're doing pixel matching in 2024 is mind-blowing to me. That's wild. That's a wild thought. This hasn't been done for a long time in like modern web design, because what you come to realize is that the values don't actually matter at all. By the way, all of the values in Figma, because Figma doesn't have rims or anything else, it's all in pixels. So he's constantly having to do math to map these things to whatever the rim values are in Tailwind. And this is like a big downside of like this workflow. All of the measuring, all of the pixel matching and mapping and math. And then there's things that don't exist. Like even though Tailwind has like 8 bazillion classes, there's still a lot of things that didn't have classes, like a lot of values that just didn't exist. And then you got to go off and use like a manual one. But still, that's not even the biggest part of the thing that was like eye-opening to me or mind-blowing as we just skip through this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, look at these over here on, SVG generators and such. Just to kind of skip forward here, it takes him an hour and 15 minutes to build this hero section, which in a page builder. So what I actually put in the inner circle, my critique is I didn't care at all about the Tailwind side of it, or even like the measuring all. Yeah, it's like something to talk about. But the biggest thing to me was this idea of I get questioned. Why do you use a page builder? If you were a real dev, you wouldn't even use a page builder. You would just write the code. Okay, well, this is why. This is why. Because I don't want to spend an hour and a half building a hero section. That's why. Go start there. And now, if I was using Elementor and it produced a bunch of terrible code, you could definitely ask me that question. You could, why would you? I mean, he's clearly go back and look at his HTML code. It's wildly clean. It's very clean. Very clean. Okay? Bricks produces that level of cleanliness. So why would I write it? And why would I go through this process of this Tailwind process, which is so granular and so all the measuring that's being done here? We could fly through this with bricks and automatic CSS. So the main critique, the main point of discussion for this video was the charge that gets leveled against people like us, where they're like, why would you use a page builder? If you were doing professional work, you wouldn't use a page builder. Well, my page builder, sir, ma'am, writes clean code. Why would I write the same code that the page builder is just writing for me when the page builder does it faster? Why would I manually type all of these granular classes in when I can right-click inputs and choose values that are actually contextually appropriate and automatically responsive and fluid and on all of this, clearly the workflow that I teach and that we follow, I'd say we, like our community in general, right? It's just hyper efficient compared to this. I mean, you watch him like measure, find a class that matches, find a class that, okay, that class matches. Okay. Measure, find a class that, all of that time. That's the time we don't want to spend. That's the time we don't want to spend. I've always said, if the tools can get you from A to B faster without cutting corners, then by all means, you should use the tools. You can only knock on the tool when it cuts corners or produces garbage. Now, in that case, we can't justify the use of the tool because we're doing poor quality work at that point. But if we can maintain the work quality or even improve on what's going on while doing it faster, why wouldn't you? Like, so the people that ask me, why do you use a page builder? My response is, why wouldn't you? And I find it a little bit ironic and awkward that my answer to their question of why would you use a page builder is a video of somebody else who is insanely talented and knowledgeable doing it their way. That's all my response has to be. Here it is. Just watch this video. This is why I use a page builder. Without even saying anything beyond that. Just if you can't watch that and come to the conclusion yourself, I don't know if you know what you're watching, right? I think anybody who watches this, if you know what a Bricks ACSS workflow looks like, which I've shown in hundreds of hours on this channel, then you simply can just watch this and understand. You'll just have an inherent understanding of why one way is wildly more efficient than the other way. And it's not a knock on Tailwind. It's not a knock on coding. It's just an answer to the question. Kevin, why would you use a page builder? If you're so great, why? Because this guy's fucking great. And this is what it looks like. That's why. That's the only answer I feel is needed, right? In fact, like it's in this position, I can give Adam every fucking flower that Adam deserves. Because here's the video. Here's the juxtaposition. Like, imagine being as good as Adam. Imagine being as good as Adam is, and it still takes this to achieve this hero, right? That's the argument. I think that's the only one that I need. Like this kind of tells you, like you could get to the level Adam is at, and this is still going to be what your workflow looks like. And so it's just, to me, it's an inherent answer to the question. I would encourage you to watch it, right? I would encourage you to go watch. It's just building a landing page with Tailwind CSS. It's on his channel, Adam Wathan. Just go watch the video. It's highly insightful. What I would say is, I challenge wholeheartedly. Let's talk about the magic number stuff and the pixel matching. Because I think this is beginners don't understand why, okay? And then I think a lot of people who've been doing dev a certain way for a long time, they have a hard time breaking free from this. Where the heck is the whole landing page? Okay. Why is this design good or decent or whatever? I think you could objectively say, like, obviously design is subjective, right? But if you polled 100 people and you were like, is this a good design or a bad design? They would be like, it's a pretty good design. Okay. Are we all in agreement there? Like it's not like, oh my God, give it an award. Like, okay, but it's clean. It follows like logical design principles. What are those logical design principles? We start asking. Well, consistent hierarchy and typography, consistent spacing. For the most part, like if we measured the space between this header and this text and the buttons and the bottom of this, I would expect that they would either be perfectly equal or very, very, very close. Now, if they're not perfectly equal, I would ask why. Let's say they're 8 pixels off. What about those 8 pixels makes that good or bad in this design? Is there Kevin, without that 8 pixel difference, that's trash, right? No, that's not going to be the conclusion. If in automatic CSS, the sections have automatic block spacing, which is equal. It's equal spacing. So the amount up here would exactly match the amount down here. Now, here's the next question about that. So we've already determined, right? If it's equal, that's probably good. That's probably the best case scenario. If it's off, I would say, why is it off? Is it off because you've got a guy that's using, now clearly in this case, he's writing code, but in a page builder, people grab those little padding handles and they just drag them. And then you would actually have two values that are uneven. Are they uneven because there was purpose to the unevenness? Or are they uneven because the dude's choosing random values with a fucking drag slider and he doesn't know what he's doing? Probably the latter, right? Because there's no explanation for why they would need to be different. Okay, so you follow me on that. Now let's ask, what is the amount? Just look at it. Just look at it. What do you think the value is for that spacing right there? Is it 120 pixels? Is it 100 pixels? Is it 80 pixels? The answer is it doesn't fucking matter at all. One iota. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. The design is good the way that it is because of the difference between that padding and the content around it and how this section may be different from the sections below it. For example, there's a hero section. It may have more block padding than other sections to denote that it is more important, that it is the hero, that it is the opening of the page. It doesn't matter that it's 120. It matters that it's 120 when the others are 80. That's a difference that matters. You could use 100 and then 60 in the others. You could use any numbers will work as long as the relationship essentially stays the same. Now, you can't get too tight. You can't get too loose. But then you could. I mean, you could win an award because you're fucking different and you're breaking norms. Like, yeah, I mean, that happens all the time too, which gives even more credence to the idea that the numbers don't actually matter. The numbers don't actually matter. The idea that you would measure anything when looking at this is mind-blowing to me. That what we have are different fluidly responsive spacing values that we can use. We have a normal section. We have a large section. We have an extra large section. I make the hero large or extra large or whatever. All the other ones are normal. Now the relationship is correct. As long as the spacing, it remains balanced, right? Everybody's happy. Could you take that block of content, higher, smarter, the lead, the buttons, and move them to the bottom of the hero section to where the bottom now has only 40 pixels of padding and the top has 200? Yes. Yes, you could do that too. You could do that too. And it doesn't matter that it's 240. What matters is the relationship between the top and the bottom. So that's where you can go with small or extra small, or t-shirt sizes create the same hierarchy, the same relationship of values. The values themselves don't matter. The values have no value. Their relationship to each other is where the value is. And understanding the relationship between the values allows you to create the exact same look and feel without caring what actual values were used in the Figma file. And this is, now pair what we just talked about with the understanding that there is no such thing as pixel matching on the internet. This is because of device sizes, device resolutions, device orientations, rendering capabilities of browsers. There is no such thing as pixel matching. This is not even a technically possible thing to achieve. There are tremendous amounts of well-detailed articles on exactly why this is. So the idea that you should even be attempting to match pixel for pixel, it has no value. A time to value is fucking as negative as it can possibly get. This is just not something that should even be in anybody's consideration. You could create a hero, a web design that looks exactly like this, and not measure a single thing. Just make sure all the relationships are the same. Use all t-shirt sizing, okay? And then hide the Figma file. Just hide it. Don't let anybody see it. And then let them judge the design of the site that you just built. And they will go, that's great. It's fantastic. I mean, everything's well proportioned, everything's balanced, everything. I mean, this looks great. And then you could be like, but this thing I've been hiding from you, This Figma file, they're different. Look at them. He didn't make the thing I gave him. Not a single person knows that unless you hand them the fig, and then measure it for them. Because most of the time you can't even eyeball it anyway. Nobody can eyeball 12 pixels versus 8 pixels. Okay. Both iterations are going to look great. Both iterations, it doesn't matter. The values don't matter. It's not something you should worry about. What you should worry about is the scalability of the site, the maintainability of the site, the fluid, responsive nature of the website, the efficiency and how you build. The same way where I can go, you know what? I can get to the finish line faster. And actually, it's going to be better. It's going to be better because it's much more scalable. The idea that using magic numbers to pixel match is somehow better than tokenized styling, that's insane. That's insane. The last thing you want is random raw magic numbers floating all over a website build. That's the last thing you should want. In fact, you should reject that wholeheartedly. The idea is, the general principle is, I should never use a magic number, ever. If I have to use, something's wrong if I have to use a magic number. So I should take all steps to not use a magic number for something. General principle, general rule of thumb. Okay, then this also assumes that, like, this designer didn't make any mistakes in what they were doing, that this designer is actually great. But again, there has to be a reasoning behind something. So if a designer is gonna be like, you didn't, that's what people are always worried about. The wrath of the designer. You didn't match it pixel for pixel. They just want to take you out behind the barn and shoot you because you were a few pixels off on that section pad and you used 80 and I used 90. And you used 80. And they're like, red in the face. And man, they're so upset with you. And people are like, I don't want that wrath. I don't want the designer wrath. Well, have the designer explain it to you. What? I'm sorry, sir. What? Why does it have to be 90 instead of 80 again? And if they don't have any reason, like, well, that's just what I like. This is what looked great at the time. Okay, but it could be 80 and it looks just fine. As long as what I can't do is they gave me something to 120 and I went with 60. Like, I just cut that shit in half. Like, okay, now they're upset. They got a right to be upset. Okay. But if you're they have a right to be upset if you use 80 and then down here you use 77. Because they're like, fuck that. What are you doing, dog? Like, that's 3 pixels off. That's not consistent. Like, that's a violation, right? But the idea that, they have any reason to be upset because you didn't measure everything they did in their Figma file, you created the semblance of their design, right? You mimicked what was going on here and you stuck to the same principles that they used. And by the way, that same fucking designer a month later might revisit that file and be like, I kind of want to tighten that up a little bit. But you're fucking evil because you did it the first time. Again, if there's no valid reason for why, then it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. So that was the biggest takeaway for this. I did not expect, when I watched this video, I didn't expect it to take as long as it did, number one. Number two, I didn't expect to see a bunch of raw, there's raw values. That wasn't the only place. There's just raw values being stuck in the Tailwind here. And then three, I did not expect to see all the measuring that I was seeing. I mean, he measures to death. Like, everything gets measured. We don't have time to watch the whole video. Okay, everything gets measured. Multiple times, everything. And I was just like, what is happening? Now, in terms of code versus a page builder or something like that, what I will say is, if he had a system for not worrying about the measuring, it would have gone a lot faster, wouldn't it? And we'd be in a much different situation and scenario. But I can only critique what actually happened in real life, which is what we're watching here. Get rid of the measuring. Get rid of caring about pixels. Pixels do not matter. By the way, we don't even code in pixels, right? We code in rims. Adam Lowe, I got into this big debate with Adam Lowe a while back, where essentially it was, which we should have this debate again publicly at some point, because it's just fun. It's fun to have these kinds of debates. But his position is, you just build in rims, and pixels don't matter. Okay, that was the argument. Like, if you're only stuck on pixels because they exist. Right? If it was just rims, if you just started from an understanding of rims, then it would all be fine. But the main problem I have with that is that you can't make understanding of a relative system without a static point of reference, right? Okay, so I have this problem when I call pizza shops. This problem all the fucking time. I say, how many people does the large feed? Because people is a static referenceable thing, like 3 adult human beings, like, right? Okay, so average 3 adults, how many of them can be fed with this large pizza? And their response is amazing. Their response is, it makes no sense whatsoever, but it's always the same, and it's always amazing, and I always love getting it. They'll say there's 8 slices. Fuck does that mean? I appreciate the fact that you answered the question, but we know a slice can be like a fucking New York giant slice, right? Or it could be like a little kitty slice, I need to know, like, a slice of pizza is a relative value. Like, it depends on how you slice it, literally. It's relative to the person slicing. So I appreciate that it's an answer, but it gives me no information as to what I'm asking, right? Like a big New York slice, that feeds one whole adult human being. But a normal pizza slice, that probably doesn't. A normal pizza slice, I probably need 3 slices, 4 slices, something like that. If I'm a little hungry, telling me the number of slices doesn't give me any. So when somebody says, well, it's just 1 rim. Well, my friend, rim it's literally called a relative unit. What is it relative to? I need some understanding of what 1 rim is going to produce. And that's where we go back to pixels, because it's relative to the concept of pixels. That's a debate. We should have that debate. It's a fun thing. Does it matter in the grand scheme of things? No. Is it going to change the world? No. But it's fun. It's fun to have these debates and these conversations. Okay. Yes, it also depends on who you eat pizza with. That is correct. But saying, how many people, it's definitely like how many slices is a far less relevant. I actually think that there is no perfect way to ask, to understand how big a pizza is, unless they tell you in what? Inches, right? If they say, it's an 18-inch pizza or whatever. Now I have some, and guess what they just told me? Well, essentially, they just gave me a pixel value for the pizza, which, case closed. I rest my case. All right. Let's go into Q&A. Q&A. Anyway, I would encourage you to go watch that for sure. Okay, I'm going to try to remember that I identify as 2 people. Okay. I'm trying to, let me get some water. We got to make sure the voice doesn't go out here. By the way, the viewership is fantastic. What are we at with likes on this stream? Has everybody done their duty in liking the stream? Toss some likes up on this stream. All right, we're going into Q&A. Let's do hashtag Q. Do a little search here. Oh, good. Lots of questions. Let's start at the top. Frames, header, delta. I want to swap the nav with a nestable nav. I want to have a border around the middle nav item separate from the button, but I can't figure out the HTML structure and CSS. Okay, let's come back to that in just a minute. Whose podcast we got to get some low-hanging fruit out of the way. That is not a low-hanging fruit question. Whose podcast were you on this morning? Ben from Layer WP. It was a fantastic discussion. When it comes out, I would highly recommend you listen to it. It's got a lot of, just a lot of tell it like it is, in it. And Ben was, he was loving it. So it's a good episode. What top 1 to 3 things are you hoping to gain from WordCamp Europe? Number 1 thing is to just meet my team in person and hang out. I've met Andrea. He's the only person from my team that I've met in IRL. But yeah, I just, my team's going to be there. I want to meet them. We have a lot of planning to do. We have a lot of secret planning to do. Some exciting things in the works. That's number 1. Number 2 is to see Italy. This is actually, fun fact, fun fact, the first time I've legitimately left the United States. I did go on a cruise once where we went to St. Martin, which is technically another country. But because it was a cruise, I was there for 6 hours, didn't need a passport, This is the first time I'm actually legit, hopping over the pond and seeing the world. And so this is, I'm really excited about that. Number 3 is I'm excited for the networking and the parties and the events that surround WordCamp. I went to my first WordCamp last year, WordCamp US, and it was just, the parties, the events, the networking, the meeting people that I see online, other YouTubers, content creators, things like that. That's always fun. It's people. It's about people. It's about relationships. It's about experiences. Notice what I didn't say. I didn't say the talks. I'm really excited about the talks. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. And they're going to have to fix this. The parties, the events, the people is enough to get people there to the conference. But wouldn't it be just way better if there were actual good talks to go along with it? Like it was actually substantive material that you could learn, that you could use for inspiration. I mean, I've been to other conferences, like when I was heavy into photography, I went to many photography conferences. Oh my gosh. The amount of stuff you can learn at a photography like technical stuff, I was into off-camera flash and different lighting techniques and things. And there would just be all these mini workshops and you would learn all the technical side of lighting and this and that, and then how to interact with models and how to pose models and because, posing is actually probably one of the most important parts. Like wouldn't be considered part of photography, but if you want good photos, you have to know how to pose people. So, that's a huge thing. I mean, you can learn that kind of stuff at conferences. Fantastic. I go to a WordCamp, don't learn a damn thing. And really, even if I was more on the beginner level side of things, I really don't think it's not all that much value. And why is it not all that much value? It's very surface level stuff. I was very shocked that they don't put hardly any focus on business. Why are they not helping agency owners? Why are they not helping freelancers be more successful in using the tool that they advocate for and the environment that they want to, continue to dominate the landscape? It's dominant because agencies use it. It's dominant because there's millions of freelancers use it. But you're not going to give them any love in the talks. And then you start to ask why. And you start to ask yourself, the first thing I asked myself was, why are these so surface level? And then, you start to realize surely, we know the size of the WordPress ecosystem. Surely these weren't the best of the best topic ideas, right? Surely. So what happened to the best of the best ideas? Where did those go? Was there any transparency as to why certain talks get declined and certain talks get accepted? Is there something, some sort of favoritism? Is there some sort of political thing going on? And then you realize there's a lot of DEI stuff going on, okay? Which, not a big fan of. It should be on the quality of the talk, right? It's just who has the highest quality talks, who has the highest quality content. Let's put the focus there. I don't care who that happens to be at the end of the day, but I do think that that's the substance we should be grading. And so it's just but this is what you get. This is when the focus is not put on substance, you get a conference where literally nearly every person I talk to is yeah, I'm not really excited about any of the talks. I'm really going for the networking, the people, and the events, and the things like that. Okay, that's a problem. It's a problem that's the reputation that WordCamp has, that the talks are not that great, and that you should go for the people and the outside experience and all of that. Because all they have to do is make the talks fantastic, and then it's like a no-brainer to go to WordCamp. Because there's a lot of people I don't want to spend the money because it's, I could see these people elsewhere, or I could travel on my own time or whatever, the talks have to have substance. At some point, they need to get substance back into the talks, and they need to get rid of whatever's stopping the talks from currently being substantive. The talks were not a thing at WordCamp US. Now, maybe EU is different, and we're about to find out. Maybe EU is different. I don't know. But notice it wasn't in my top 3, was it? It wasn't in my top 3. Okay, that was a long one. Let me hop over to, I gotta see what chat says about this before we move on to other questions, just in case. Okay. I left ClickFunnels behind after a conference where they announced the split of people training instead of the content of the training. I was done with them. Okay. Oh my God, you're saying the exact same things I do about the WP topics. I totally agree with everything you're saying. Okay. All right. You could listen to the speakers or explore the racing track on the roof of the exhibition center. Yeah. That might be exciting. Okay. Good. I'll just put that up. That's funny. Marcus says, we met at Recurring Revenue Retreat in Orlando last year, but look forward to seeing you again in Italy. Absolutely, Marcus. Super excited to see you again. We need to do some stuff. We need to get some content created together or something. We got to do something. We got to make some moves. Okay. Bring your raincoat to Europe. Man, see, I didn't want to hear that. I was really hoping the weather would be good. I know that they've been in like some sort of downpour situation for a while now. I was hoping it was going to clear up. Okay. All right, let's go back to questions. Let me go back to the search. All right. What's the story behind you going from an agency owner to releasing ACSS and frames for web designers? I've told it before, so I'll just do the quick recap. I built automatic CSS for our agency, for us, to make our workflow more efficient. But at the same time, I was already doing YouTube videos. I already had the inner circle. And I was like, you know what? This is taking a lot of work. This is a lot of work and a lot of time. And it was to the point where I was like, I know this is going to be super beneficial. So there's no reason to keep it just for me. And so I actually started releasing it in the inner circle, and building it with the inner circle alongside them. And then it just started to slowly become what it's now become. But it wasn't like, a lot of products are like, I see a hole in the market, I'm going to make a product and I'm going to sell it. Like it was really like, how do we make this workflow, caring about classes, using the latest CSS to make our workflow more efficient, make our projects more scalable, more maintainable. We've got to put a framework together of some sort. I tried out Oxy Ninja. I was using that for a while. It was like the only thing. So it was like, got the job done for a little bit there, but then just the lack of customization, the lack of flexibility, the lack of it being up to the latest in CSS standards. There was none of the concepts that are in automatic CSS: fluid responsive typography, fluid responsive spacing, automatic grids, on and on and on and on and on and on and on. I mean, the list goes on for miles, right? None of that stuff was there. And the only way that I figured it would get there is if I did it. And so I just started doing it, and then it just became what it became. Let's see. What are your current top 1 to 3 recommendations to learn copywriting? I don't know. Because I didn't, there's no one resource I can point to. It's just been, I've read tons and tons of books. I've watched tons and tons of videos. I've analyzed tons and tons of copy. I've done workshops. I've done it's like a culmination of, it's truly a discipline of study. It's like, what are the 1 to 3 videos I should watch on jujitsu? Like there isn't that thing. There isn't that thing. You can't even watch one jujitsu person or 3 jujitsu people. There's different styles. Like there's different philosophies within jujitsu. There's completely different methodologies and approaches. It is a discipline that you have to just commit to studying. That's it. That's all I can say. It's like, what are the top 3 places I can learn physics? What are the top 3 places I can learn surgery? It's like, you can't. It's a discipline you have to commit to, and you have to study from various places and sources, and over time, and you got to practice, and then you're gonna start to get good at it. And I'm not even that really good at it because I can't be, because I can't. I'm in a jack of all trades scenario, right? If I dedicated myself to copywriting, I'd be way better at copywriting than I am, but I can't, because then I can't do the other things that I do. So, but what I can do is I'm pretty good at analyzing copy. Like I can look at copy and understand, what's great about it or not great about it. I understand the principles and the philosophies behind it, yada, yada, yada. Okay, let's see. I had a nightmare the other day where I asked you a question and you gave me a rude answer. Does this mean I need to touch grass? I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it means you just need to take a little bit of a break, Maddie. You've had too many live streams, too much bridge building. I don't know. Yeah, take a few days off. Come to Italy. Let's have a few glasses of wine. Let's have a nice little pizza. Let's have some nice conversation. You'll be back on track. All right. Is it a good idea of having a very large logo in the footer? Sure. It's not like it depends on the scenario. It depends on what the logo looks like. Bev's logo? No. Bev's logo, you want that to be as small as possible. A great logo, yeah, you could make it big in the footer. I've seen it happen. Does it take up a lot of space? And does it provide any value to the visitor? No, not really. But it could be a design decision that somebody makes, and you could argue against it, or you could argue for it, or that's a very subjective thing. Okay. Is StoryBrand a good place to start to learn storytelling? I think StoryBrand is a very solid framework. I think it's a good place to start. Absolutely. It's a good place to start. I wouldn't finish there, but it's a good place to start. Could we have a video that demonstrates how to create accessible cards from scratch if there isn't one already? There is one already. Just look up. In fact, there's a 2.0 version. There's like multiple versions on my channel. Speaking of pixels, should newbies start their sites at 62.5% root font size or 100%? Well, the industry standard is 100%. If you don't want to do math, then 62.5%. If you are in total control of your environment and you're confident you're not going to use any third-party tools that use REMs, then there's nothing wrong with 62.5. If you want to be extremely safe and have no chance of any collisions with other tools using REMs, then use 100%. In automatic CSS, you now have convert to REM automatically in inputs, which means there's no math needing to be done, which means you can use 100% now without the downside of 100%. So I now use 100%, if that's what you're asking. Where I used to use 62.5 because I didn't have the automatic conversion tool. But now I have the automatic conversion tool, so there's now no longer a reason to go to 62.5. Okay. What are the most common breakpoints you use the most or recommend? The ones that are the default in automatic CSS are the ones that I use by default, which is why they're the default. But I will say that we are approaching rapidly the era where breakpoints will no longer matter. I tend to feel that container queries, for the most part, are going to put breakpoints in the grave. And they're just going to continue to be less and less and less and less and less relevant. Obviously, we have things like fluid responsive typography eliminated the need for breakpoints with typography. Fluid responsive spacing eliminated the need for breakpoints and spacing. Automatic grids kind of eliminates the, which we call variable grids, and automatic CSS eliminates the need for breakpoints with grid layouts. And this is just going to continue on and on and on. We're just parts of web design where we needed breakpoints are just no longer going to need breakpoints. And then when container queries are a big thing, because what a container query essentially does, if you're not up to speed on container queries, is a container query allows an element or typically a group of elements, like a card, for example, to look at its parent size. And its parent size is what actually determines how that card is styled or behaves. We no longer need to care about, like the device used to force things to a specific size, so we had to look at the size of the device. Now you just look at the size of the parent container and you can make decisions based on that, which is actually way better than a breakpoint, because it means that if I take something on desktop and move it into a smaller container, it will still conform to that container properly without care for the breakpoint. Like we're still on desktop. Like the breakpoint actually is irrelevant. Breakpoints are only relevant because of what they do to other elements on the page. They essentially are like a trash compactor, right? They start to bring in crushing things, and then you have to make decisions based on, well, I don't want that thing to be crushed, so here's how I'm going to adjust it, right? Well, if elements or groups can look at their parent container size and just be like, what size are you? Okay, that's how I'm going to behave based on your size. The breakpoint actually doesn't matter anymore, because you can have that situation happening on a desktop just like it might happen on a mobile device. So container queries are much more powerful. Yet another debate I've had with, Maxime, right? We had a huge debate. I had a huge debate with Maxime. Maxime is not all that impressed with container queries. I happen to think container queries are going to replace breakpoints for the most part, and are far more important and valuable and powerful than breakpoints. And so we had a debate about that. But see, these debates get lost in Facebook land. It's like nobody's ever going to see that ever again. We should make these into videos. I'm very much with Mark Zemansky on this. We should do these. We should have these public debates. It's very fun. It's very fun. It's intellectually stimulating, right? Okay. Let's see. And by the way, I also think it helps people understand like what's going on in this industry and the technical nature of these things. Why do breakpoints exist? What is a container query? Why would they even come out with? See, first of all, it's on my side, just the fact that they came out with container queries, because somebody was like, these breakpoint things ain't really doing enough for us. We got to have this concept of a container query. So they did all this work to engineer container queries. Why? Because they're less powerful than breakpoints? No, it's because they're more powerful than breakpoints. And so I think that fact will be borne out in web design very soon. Okay. Querying images in a query loop in Bricks using Happy Files Pro. Is this possible? Querying images in a query loop in Bricks using Happy Files Pro. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Let me see if I can. Let me go screen share. Let's go into Insta WP because I just did this. Oh yeah, I just did it in a frame. In a frame. Okay, where's frames? Let's go into here. Just did that. Oh, I'm gonna do a whole video on this frame. This frame is fantastic. This frame took some intellectual stimulation. It looks very simple. It looks very simple when you see it. Let me go to. No, I don't want to go to getting started. I want to go to templates. CTA. It was a CTA section, I think. Let me search for it. CTA section. What was it called? Mike, maybe Mike or something. God, the search in WordPress is just awful. What in the world does Hero Alpha have to do with my search of CTA section? Dude, this is the thing they could be working on. I mean, this is what they could be improving. But still, we get Lego blocks. Okay. CTA section. I mean, I can't even find what I'm looking for. This search is so bad. Indigo. Here we go. Indigo. All right, let's view it first. Look at this. Doesn't that look so... when I saw the concept for it, I was like, oh, let me just whip this up real quick. No, my friends, this is not a whip it up upable layout right here. So, but let's go in and I'll just show you. Let's see if we can see if this part is easy. Now, Bricks, see, it's going to look different in the builder because Bricks, and I just, what is his name? Charoff? Is that his name? The guy that works with Bricks now? I just pinged him on Twitter and I was like, my guy. I know you weren't here when this went down, okay? But for 2 years now, we've had a ticket open that Bricks does not render styles from data attributes, which means it can't render the JavaScript that's in this block, and it can't render any CSS that's attached to the data attributes. And that's a really bad thing. It's actually quite embarrassing. So I messaged him on Twitter and I was like, can you look into this for me? And he was like, I got you. But he did message me back and he said, it's not that easy. Okay. We're going to work on it in 2.0, but it's not a quick win. Okay. Which I'm fine with. It's not a quick win. That's why it hasn't been done. But I mean, it's 2 years, that's a long time, for a fairly egregious issue here. But anyway, to answer your question, let's go ahead and, oh, look at that. There's a loop. That's actually just one image. Okay, let's go check out this loop. And I think what we can do, so post type is media, and we are going to pull from the headshots folder. So right here, when you say type is post type is media, and you go down to the categories, Happy Files actually loads its folders in the categories area. So I have a folder called headshots, and look, it says right there, folder. So I go pull this from the folder, and then what I do is I simply go over here and I go dynamic data, and I go, is it post ID? I think post ID is the one that we want. Bam. Look at that. Now I go to the front end, and in fact, this section in the instructions says you should absolutely use a query loop for this. And just to kind of give you a little rundown on why this is so difficult. It's not difficult if you were only building for one screen size, because the reason this layout works is because it's symmetrical. If you're missing an image in the last row, it doesn't look good at all. It's like, why is that missing an image? It only looks good because it's a perfect amount of images, okay? So let's talk about the technical nature of this. I just had PTSD thinking that I wasn't screen sharing. I just look back and now I can relax. It actually is screen sharing. Okay, we've done that before many times, as people know. Okay, so as the device crushes the layout, okay, now as you do this just like randomly, you will see points where it breaks, but that's because the JavaScript cannot in real time recalculate what's going on. But if you just reloaded the page, any page load at any breakpoint is going to be perfect because of the JavaScript, right? But as we go through, you'll start to see what this will give you an indication of is how this is done. So, and I'll just give you an example. So see how this is cutting through the images? That's another obvious thing that breaks this layout where you'd go, that doesn't look all that good. All right, let me refresh at that breakpoint. See how it's perfect? Haha, see how it's perfect? When the person loads the page, it doesn't matter what the device size is. When they load the page, it will look perfect, okay? And then what it's going to do is it's going to stack itself. And notice, oh, it's broken. Well, it's only broken when you dynamically change. But I'm going to refresh the page. Oh, it's perfect again. Look at that. It's absolutely perfect on every page load at every device size. And that is the challenge with this layout. The number of images in the grid is actually an unknowable quantity. So you can't do anything with CSS based on knowing the number of images, right? Because you're not going to know the number of images. Even if you put in the exact number of images that was needed to make it look good right here, okay? What the hell just happened? Refresh the page, bricks. Okay, it like half refreshed. Even if you could just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 21 images, pop them in, right? Or no, that's 28. I'm awesome at math. I did go to public school. If you're curious. Okay, so anyway, let's say you put the 28 in, right? Put in the 28. Well, guess what? The minute a device size is different than this, you need more or less images. And now you've lost an image and it doesn't look good. Or you've created another row on accident and you don't know the actual height of these images, how they're rendered, so it cuts into see, the only way to make this section actually perfectly symmetrical on every device size is to use a bunch of crazy techniques, okay? One involving JavaScript. So essentially, you need to know the rendered height of the images. You need to know the amount of rows that you want in the layout. And because we're restricting the number of rows in the layout, we can only restrict that by the height of the container. And so in order to make sure nothing gets cut, which means then that we have to hide overflow, because in order to make sure there's never too few images, you have to load in more images than you actually need. Then you have to cut off the overflow. And then to make sure everything is positioned right and correct, you have to know the height, you have to know the rendered size of the gaps, and then you have to base the amount of rows or the max height of the container off of that information. See? What looks so simple. And this is why, by the way, this goes back to the podcast interview I just did with Ben. There was something I wanted to make a point about that I actually forgot because we kind of got off on some tangent, but it was about pricing website projects. And I was going to make the point that pricing per page is a wild concept. Like that you would be like, well, it's a 10-page website, so here's the cost for that. Well, what if this section is on one of those pages? Because I looking at this section, you might be like, okay, that's fine. But you get 8 minutes into this section trying to create this layout and you go, oh, fuck. That's literally what went through my head, right? I was like, fuck. I had a little free time. I thought I was just going to whip this one up, release it as a frame. And then you're like, fuck, this is a situation. I got myself in a little bit of a situation here. And then I had to go deep. I was fucking my whole elbow deep in the bag, okay? Trying to solve the problems that kept arising from this relatively simple cute little layout, right? But this also then speaks to, the value of frames. It's like somebody else is doing that work for you, figuring it all out. And then all you have to do is pop it in, loop it up, and move on with your life, right? That's a fantastic benefit to all this. But yeah, I'm going to do a whole tutorial on this in the inner circle, step by step, exactly how it was done. Let's see. Yeah, now making that work and scale the way it does sounds tricky. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, chat looks good. Viewership still good. All right, fantastic. All right, so we're going to do a whole video on this. So whole tutorial walkthrough. It's going to be super valuable. It's going to be part of my JavaScript series because my JavaScript series is about teaching you JavaScript to where it's like you're solving real world problems. And this was legitimately a scenario where it's like, I think I'll just use JavaScript for this for the hell of it. I could not find, I tried every CSS trick in the book, right? And I was like, I can't figure it out. I got to go to JavaScript for it because I know JavaScript can do it. And then when I got into the JavaScript, in my mind, I was like, we'll just calculate a little height, calculate a little gap. All right, we'll be good to go. No. We got in a little bit of a situation on the JavaScript side of things too. This is one of those scenarios where it's like, you just want, you want to waterboard the designer, right? Because you're like, I know what you did. I mean, it does look good, but as a developer, I mean, it deserves a little bit of waterboarding. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a fun thing. It wasn't a fun thing. Let me back up. It was because I'm passionate about the work that I do. It was a fun thing and it was intellectually stimulating. But if I was getting paid money for that, I'd want to waterboard the designer because I'd be like, dude, they don't need all this. Come on, man, give me something simple. Like, time is money. Clock's ticking. That's the kind of situation that this is right here. Kobe says there's a JS series. Yeah, my friend, in Inner Circle. We're done. It's called Learn JS with Kevin. And it's like, it's in my typical style because I'm learning JavaScript, right? And so I'm just sharing what I'm learning. I'm not a JavaScript expert by any means, but I think it's super valuable to learn alongside somebody else who's figuring it the fuck out, right? And it's great. So it's not like the other series that I've done where it's like, I've got 20 years experience doing this, here's how I would recommend doing it. It's more like, here's what I figured out on this one right here. And I think it's really not just valuable, but interesting, right? To see that happen. And again, it's not, the reason I'm doing it is because I hate JavaScript. Every JavaScript course I've taken, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It's like, let's print hello world. Let's print this. Let's do that. And nothing is practical. Nothing is like, I want to start from a real world problem like this and go, here's the power of JavaScript to solve this real world problem and just teach the concepts as we solve the problems. That's exactly how that series is going. Okay. And I'm a little bit behind on Inner Circle videos. If you're wondering is why 2 weeks of travel and then this, I could barely talk yesterday. Like my throat it hurt so bad yesterday. I was like, I don't know if I can live stream tomorrow. Thankfully overnight, it got tremendously better. But I've been sick for the last 6-7 days. Every day is something new. It's just some fun new symptom. It's like, oh, that went away, but then we have this fun thing to do. So yeah, it's just, I haven't been able to record physically, like incapable of recording. I've been doing a lot of planning. I've been doing a lot of that kind of stuff. And literally, you can ask my wife, when we got back from the 2 weeks in Florida, I was like, I've got to record like 7 videos this week. Okay, so leave me alone. I got to record like 7 videos. Next day, couldn't talk. Next day was sick and have been sick since. And so that plan went to absolute shit. Okay. Let me go back to questions. We're going to get out of here in 10 minutes. 10 minutes, we are done. I got to cut this off. All right, let's go into, this has been a good one today. We're having a lot of fun today, I feel. All right, throw up some likes. If you haven't thrown up a like yet, get a like going on the stream. Okay, let's find my spot. Find my spot. Are you going to WordCamp US? Probably, but I'm not a fan of Portland. I'm a fan of Portland. I love the scenery in Portland. Not a fan of the rest of Portland. Let's just say that. And I've been there. A lot of times with WordCamps, I look to places I haven't been yet because I do love the travel aspect of WordCamp, right? Come on, man, choose a city I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen a ton of them, okay? Just choose one I haven't seen yet. There we go, Portland. Like DC, I loved because I was like, I haven't seen DC yet. I'd love to see DC. So that was a good one. You'll love the real pizza in Italy. I hope so. I'm not getting my hopes up because you know what happens when you're like, oh, it's gonna be so good. Then maybe you let down a little bit. So I'm just like, you know what? It's pizza. I'm just gonna go there and see what it's like. Let's see. Kevin, why don't you apply to talk? Honestly, first of all, okay. I'll just get the honest answer is, I don't feel that they would accept anything that I submit. So why do I play a game that I don't feel like they would allow me to participate in? Why wouldn't they allow me to participate in it? I don't know, for various reasons. But it goes back to, I don't think the talks are chosen based on substance. If I felt that they were chosen, I don't know exactly what they're chosen based on. But I know high probability that they're not actually chosen on substance. I would be submitting a talk of substance. And so you're asking me not just to submit to something where I feel like it's not in alignment with whatever they're doing, but number 2, it takes a lot of time and work. Like I'm not just going to submit the idea for the talk. Like I want to put the talk together and I want to make sure I really believe in the talk before I then submit the talk. Okay. So that's a lot of work to do for a scenario where I don't even think they're going to acknowledge it. So it's just not, it's not motivating to do that. Now, if I hear otherwise or differently, or I start to see differently in the talks that are being listed, then I will absolutely consider it. I just talked at the R3 conference. I want to do more speaking. I want to do more events. But it has to be an event that I feel is like, accepting of what we're, about. Let's see. If you could be a speaker at WordCamp, what would be your current number 1 topic? It's a really, really good question. There's so much that we could hit on. I'll put a list together. And then I'll have people vote which one I should go with first. Then I'll submit. How about that? We'll do this together. I'll put a list of ideas together. I'll let my community vote on them. So this is based on my community saying that's the talk we want to see. Then I'll submit it and we'll see what happens. How about that? We'll find out together. How about that? Okay, let's do it. I think we should do that. All right, 2 more questions. Can you quickly go through adding a frame and using BEM? I'm having an issue with it creating new classes and not renaming them. Not sure what I'm doing wrong. Yes, I can do that. So let's go to, here's the ACSS 101 install. Probably good enough. All right, let's go to pages. Let's go to edit. Okay. So, this is all different. I'm not used to this yet. Usually the templates is over here. I got to go find it over here. Okay. Let's do like footer Mike, maybe. Here's a new footer that we've done. Now we do have some, it'll be nice when the bricks lag. This isn't on the latest version, I don't think. Actually, maybe it is. Yeah, there's still a little bit of lag. You saw all the rendering that had to be done for this. Okay, but why? Because you have to nest a lot of DOM elements to create the proper structure for this nav. But okay, let's take a look. So we've got footer Mike, which has footer Mike on it. Okay, so that all makes sense. Then footer Mike has an inner. Okay, and then footer Mike has a nav. So we haven't found any unique children yet, right? Footer Mike has a nav list. And what I'm looking for would be like legal. So here's legal meta alpha. Has no relationship to footer Mike, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to auto BIM this. And we're going to see what is this going to do for us. So if I wanted this to be like footer or something, I don't want it to be footer Mike. I just want it to be footer. So it's going to rename all the classes. Footer inner, footer nav, nav list, all that's good, all that's good, all that's good. So this is a scenario where you can literally rename all of them. Okay, now what's going on here? Footer underscore CTA, footer heading, footer text basic, footer button. Let's go look at that. What is that in the sidebar? Okay, heading, basic text. Actually, because this is a brand new frame. So footer Mike CTA, yep, footer Mike. Okay, this actually didn't get classes. This was, and this actually didn't even get labeled properly. This is the description. This is the button. So I just found an error in this particular frame. Has nothing to do with AutoBIM though. AutoBIM's excluding those because it didn't have classes at all. It didn't know that this was actually part of footer Mike, right? Because they don't have any classes at all, just because it was a mistake on a frame that I actually made this frame. So that's on me. If it had the classes, they would have been selected too. Now you could say, no, I actually do want to include these. And actually I want that to be description. You could do it right from here and fix it yourself. So that would be fine. But notice that it did automatically take out the legal stuff. Why? Because that has a different class on it, denoting that that's its own thing. That's its own thing. And so it's correct to exclude those. You would just hit apply classes and then it would reapply. Now notice everything flashed and regenerated, right? Because now when I click on something, it's just going to say footer. It no longer says footer Mike. It got all new classes, but all the styles got carried over to those new classes. So in this case, it worked just fine, right? Now, that's a scenario where pretty much, except for those footer meta links, everything belonged to the parent. There are scenarios where not everything belongs to the parent. So let's get maybe feature section Zulu. No, that's going to all belong to the parent because those have to behave a certain way. So let me go to, what would be a good one? It's a lot of times it's going to be things with cards like this. Things with obvious, like, modularized stuff. So this card is feature card Yankee. That is a different thing from feature section Yankee, right? Because you could theoretically just take this card and use it anywhere. You could use it in any grid, in any section, and you would want it styled independently. So it's its own independent kind of component thing. And then the grid, because you could theoretically put this grid in any section, right? It's its own thing, feature grid Yankee. So we have feature section Yankee, which is its own thing, which houses feature grid Yankee, which is its own thing, which houses feature card Yankee, which is its own thing. This is the modular nature of frames. And so when you're doing auto BIM, you can't just rename from the top down because that'll screw everything up because you're telling it all of those things are element children and they're not all element children, right? They're not. They're blocks in themselves. Introduction delta is a block in itself. Grid Yankee, block in itself. BEM, block element modifier. These are blocks. When you're auto BIMing, you're mainly auto BIMing for the elements that are in something, not other blocks. And it doesn't know, there's no way for it to know what is a block versus an element because the structure panel insinuates that they're all elements because they're nested. But that's not how BIM works. BIM is an understanding of, okay, no, there can be blocks in blocks. So what you do to rename in this regard is you go inside out or bottom up, right? So you go to where there are no more blocks. See, feature card Yankee is a block. No blocks inside of it. It only has elements inside of it. So I would auto BIM feature card Yankee, right? Rename all these classes, good to go, good to go. Then what I would do is feature grid Yankee. Now let's look at the structure. Feature grid Yankee has no elements inside of it. It is a block that is elementless. It only has other blocks in it. So you don't need, there's nothing to BIM here. There's nothing to auto BIM. All you have to do is rename it. So you literally click this, click the pencil and say, and that's actually on the, I need to choose the grid. Okay, now we have the grid chosen, rename, and just say like, this is my feature grid. And then hit enter and it renames it. There's no auto BIMing here because there's no elements, right? There's only blocks and blocks. So you just need to rename the class. And then up here, feature section Yankee, same thing. There are no elements in feature section Yankee. I don't know what Bricks is doing right now. Let's refresh this. There are only blocks inside. Okay, Bricks. This is a beta of Bricks, by the way. Maybe that's something I should report. I don't know. Which one were we doing? All right, let's go feature section Yankee down here. Okay, there we go. So feature section Yankee, again, look at the structure. Open it up. Block, block, block. No elements. So should not be auto-BIMmed, right? BIM is an element-based feature. It's a thing that we do with elements, not a thing that we do with blocks. So I would just rename the block. Rename this block, rename this block. Actually, this has elements, so you can auto BIM this if you want. So see how it's FR intro delta? All right, you can auto BIM that, no problem whatsoever. But don't think that when a block is isolated and it has no elements inside of it, just rename it. That's not an auto BIM situation. Now, with all of that said, auto BIM 2.0 will allow you to rename from the top down because we're going to essentially add a feature where we can just identify. You just go in and go, oh, that's a block, that's a block, that's a block. Or hopefully it's going to automatically recognize that might be a block and have you confirm. And then you just go, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you can literally rename from the top down. That's going to be AutoBIM 2.0. But AutoBIM 1.0 is an inside out tool. You start on the inside and you work your way up. Now, also, I should say, as always, AutoBIM was not created for this purpose. This is not what AutoBIM was created for. We're able to use AutoBIM to speed this up a little bit, but you're using the tool for something it wasn't actually designed to do, okay? It just happens to work if you follow that process for that specific thing. AutoBIM was designed for people who build from scratch. So for example, if I wanted to build this as a card, so I would put a div in, or you could use a block, whatever you want to do. And we're going to call that a card. And then I say, well, we're going to have two blocks inside of that card. One's going to be a media wrapper. One's going to be media. I put media inside that card. And then I come in here and I put a heading. And then I put text, right? See me race through this. Then we put a button in. Okay, great, fantastic. So I've got all of my elements that I actually need. And then I click Auto BIM on that div. And then I can name everything. And I want to say this is a card. And then this is actually the media wrapper for the card. And this is actually the media. This is the content wrapper. This is going to be the heading. That's fine. This is going to be a description. This is going to be a button. All good. I'm going to sync the labels and I'm going to apply classes. That's what Auto BIM was designed for. Because now I have a card with a media wrapper and a content wrapper. And I've got classes on everything. And the labels are all the way I want them. And I can just start designing. That's what Auto BIM was designed for and created for. And you can see that instead of adding a class to every single thing independently, manually, that saves a tremendous amount of time. That's what Auto BIM was designed for. It just so happens that you can use it for renaming frames. You just have to know exactly how to use it, okay? But Auto BIM 2.0 will make it dead easy to go top-down renaming of everything. Man, that was a long answer, wasn't it? Okay, last question. Hate being this guy, but you keep creating the frames. Where's the frames for Figma equivalent? So I feel like I've answered this question 1,000 times, right? Frames for Figma is based on, it's built with something we call automatic CSS tokens, okay? Tokens in Figma, not actually the native tokens in Figma, but Token Studio, which is much more powerful than native tokens in Figma. Frames for Figma has to trail behind anything that automatic CSS does. So if automatic CSS does something new, it then has to be replicated in frames for Figma, right? So we're in the middle. I think everybody knows we're in the middle of a total like redesign of automatic CSS, which is completed this Thursday, will be official 3.0 out of beta. It'll be out of beta this Thursday, unless something goes tremendously wrong. Out of beta this Thursday. So being that it's been a beta product for all this time that we've been working on it, right? And knowing that it's coming and knowing that a lot of stuff has changed, okay, and been updated and refreshed, okay? Frames for Figma can't physically exist yet. It just can't. There's no way. There's no way. It has to wait for ACSS 3.0 to be stable. Then it can be produced itself. Now, is that to say that we're not even working on it? No, of course not. It's being worked on, right? So Tommy is working on it behind the scenes, but he can't make it official until ACSS is official. So it just naturally has to come later. So that's all I can say about that. It is not physically impossible to just give you frames for Figma when automatic CSS isn't even out of beta yet, 3.0. So hopefully that answer suffices. AutoBIM 2.0. What's the timeline on AutoBIM 2.0? That is dependent on a couple things that we're talking about in Italy. Based on the direction we go after the Italy talks, I'll be able to give you more insight. Okay. All right. Let me go to chat real quick just to check in with chat before we get out of here. See how everybody's getting on with it. I tried to go a little bit longer today because we're not going to be here next week. So praise Jesus, AutoBIM 2.0. Yes. I mean, there may be something coming that's like way more exciting than AutoBIM 2.0. But, we could also focus on AutoBIM 2.0. It's just, we'll see. We'll see what it is. Thursday, ACSS 3.0 official release. Let's have a virtual party. I think we should. That would be cool. Can I still use my frames for Figma as the current state? Yeah, absolutely. You can do whatever you want, for sure. You should do something on AutoBIM for ACSS 101. I actually will. I actually have that planned to do as part of ACSS 101. Because we are going to absolutely cover AutoBIM. What you just saw, like from the ground up AutoBIM, and then I will put a little segment in that video on using it to rename existing blocks and elements and things like that, which would apply to frames. Okay. Geary Heads meet up. I'm actually planning I really am excited about the prospects of a live event that involves mainly like inner circle, automatic CSS, something like that. Like I really think that's the next thing on the list that we haven't done yet. We haven't even dipped our toes in that yet. And I think it would be really exciting, really fun. I am an introvert. I've talked about this before. I'm an ambivert. The introvert in me is like, there's no need to schedule live events. But then the ambivert side of me is like, I really do like meeting people and events. And, if it's a good environment, right? So I was thinking maybe a cruise kind of thing would be phenomenal. It's like, why don't we all go on a cruise? That would be fun. And like a conference type cruise. So there's some education, then there's just some hanging out. And then of course you're on a fucking cruise ship and what's there not to like? That would be an idea. I could do an event in Florida. I've got some really amazing places in Florida you cannot beat, at least I haven't seen a lot of the world. Okay. But I have seen it in videos. It is very hard to beat the west coast of Florida. Like it's very, very difficult. There are some places, and even in like inland Florida, some canal type stuff. I mean, it's very difficult to beat some of Florida. Okay. So we could do something down there. There's so many endless possibilities of what we could do in Florida. Yeah. It's just what you guys tell me. Would you be excited about something like a live event kind of thing? Would that be something you would entertain? And it would not even need to be like gigantic, it could be 100 people. It could be 20 people. Like we could do something exclusive. We could do something more general, like a cruise type thing. I legit think could be 100 people, or we could do something smaller. It just depends. But like Someone says Sarasota, please. Florida rocks. Went on a cruise, Florida to Mexico, for a conference. It was less expensive to do that than host in a convention center. Yeah, I've heard that. So yeah, I think that's I guess something we should entertain. Let's do it in Panama City Beach. Just went there at spring break and it was beautiful. Yeah. Actually Destin. So Destin is right next to Panama City Beach. I got married in Destin. On a yacht. That was nice. That was fantastic. So, I am always willing to go back to the Panhandle. And that's one of the unbeatable areas of Florida. 30A, the 30A area, the water is it's like a swimming pool. It's like crystal clear. It's like bath water. It's so amazing. And there's so many spots like that. Then we can go paddleboard with gators. That's always fun. In crystal clear spring water, right? I mean, that's an unbeatable kind of scenario. I went swimming with manatees in literally crystal clear spring water. If you haven't done swimming with manatees, that's a whole experience. I mean, there's endless the things that we could do around just hanging out and around and some education experiences. There could be dev education. There could be agency related education. We could have so much fun, so much value. I think it would be fantastic. Dover says, bought ACSS today. Fantastic. My friend, welcome. Congratulations on your purchase. Okay, I got to get out of here. I got some work to do. If any of you are going to be in Italy, definitely hit me up. Like I've talked about before, I have resting asshole face. So when I'm walking through hallways or just around in general, you might be like, that guy's a little intimidating. Okay. Just come up and say hi or say whatever. It's totally fine. You will survive and we will all be friends. It'll be great. So anyway, I will see you guys next week if you're going to be there. Otherwise, I will see you the week after when I get back for another WDD live. Love you guys. Thanks for the support. Peace.